G'day, my name's James Mitchell, the CEO at Workshop Software. I'm joined today by Richard Phillips. Richard's from Service Programs Australia. We're partners. We've worked together for a little while now, where Richard provides some really cool software that we do some integrations with, and it really helps the customer from a customer experience perspective. And I wanted to get together today to have a little bit of a chat about what that means, why this is called workshops, and we've spoken before, Richard, about what workshops do, and where they're really great on the tools. They can even be kind of okay with doing invoicing and stuff like that, but one of the challenges that they come with is how do you handle the customer and making that customer feel amazing? And we've seen it in other industries that the customer has got an expectation that certain things apply, and maybe in our industry we could get better, and you can help some of our customers or help the industry with that. And if we start with vehicle visuals as a process to do that, how would you describe that, and what do you think of the why is that important, and
Sure.
why is this great?
Well, first of all, thank you for the intro, James. It's good to be here. Good to see you again. We're all about customer experience with our products, really, and we're really pleased with the partnership that we've got with Workshop Software, because you're obviously dealing with a level of customer that already gets that progress is really important, modernisation is important, and digitisation is really important. And we have a role to play in the customer experience space, and I think it's important to start by saying or qualifying exactly what customer experience is, because a lot of people often ask me, what do you mean exactly by customer experience, because it can be a sort of a grey area. Customer experience basically is anything that happens in connection between the workshop and a customer in the whole service process. So between dropping off the car in the morning and collecting the car at night, all of those touch points, all of those communication points during the day, that's the customer experience. So they are things that workshops increasingly need to be focusing on. It's all about the front end. Neither of us are involved with the back end, with the workshop particularly. We're all about the front end experience for the customer, and frankly, increasingly, that is where customers will be won and lost in a workshop. And they're not just comparing.
Becoming more competitive, isn't it?
Much more competitive. Customers are becoming less loyal, and we'll touch on that when we talk about the vvGarage app. But there's certainly a lot less loyalty. They're more sophisticated as consumers, so they know where they stand a lot more. They want more information before they'll make a buying decision. And they're also not just comparing a workshop with other workshops in the area. They're comparing their customer experience with every other customer experience they have in all sorts of other areas of their lives as well.
True, isn't it? Yeah.
So if they're getting a great modern digitised customer experience at their pizza restaurant or the carpet shop or wherever they go,
the dentist even.
Well, look, we'll talk about apps in a little while, but I now book both a haircut and a dental appointment through an app. Increasingly to people now, the idea that you have to pick up a phone and call and speak to somebody to make an appointment is long-winded and clunky and inefficient and old-fashioned. So, these customer experiences, the digitisation that are happening with the customer experience that they're getting in other areas, we need to be replicating and getting really good at in the automotive industry, which historically is fairly slow to adapt, but we need to get better at that, because that's, as I say, the front of house customer experience is increasingly where a workshop will win and lose its customers.
Absolutely,
yeah. So in terms of our product, we have got two fantastic products fully integrated with Workshop Software for the convenience of Workshop Software users. We've got Vehicle Visuals, which is really a bit of a no-brainer for workshops. That's such an obvious product to use. It really revolves around communicating the need for additional service and repair recommendations to customers. And it saves an awful lot of time for workshops too. So most customers now are non-technical, and a lot of service advisors are non-technical now as well. A lot of service advisors are coming from non-technical backgrounds, which is a good thing in a way, because ex-techs can make good service advisors, but they can also get into talking a lot of jargon, technical jargon, mechanical jargon to customers as well, which kind of blinds them with science.
Probably talks to the fact that the customer experience is more important or is becoming more and more important as time goes on, and that's why you're getting service advisors who aren't necessarily all that technical.
It does.
Might have a bit of, obviously they need to know a bit about what goes, obviously need to know what goes on in the workshop, but they're more about how I deal with a customer as opposed to what happens to their vehicle.
And that's what it is. So we're finding more service advisors coming in from call centre backgrounds, customer service backgrounds, even retail. Industries where customer experience, customer service is the focus. So, ex-mechanics can talk technical turkey, but that isn't necessarily what the customer wants anymore. What they want is just good experience. So, Vehicle Visuals helps technical service advisors dumb down, or let's say simplify the conversation for non-technical customers by removing the technical jargon. And service advisors that are completely non-technical, Vehicle Visuals will do the job for them. Either way, workshops spend an awful lot of time trying to explain the need for recommended repairs and maintenance to customers. They spend a lot of time on it in a typical day. Vehicle Visuals does the job for you.
The customer doesn't they kind of might understand a little bit about what they're talking about, but they probably don't understand it all, do they? And that's, I suppose, what happens with Vehicle Visuals is they get an animation. It's a 1-2 minute typically sort of animation that explains it in really, really simple terms. Some of the stuff that I've seen, I'm a non-technical, I've got a software background, right? So I don't know a lot. I've been in this industry for a very long time, but I'm not a car expert. But to see, how a ball joint works or why you want to replace it or something along those lines, that doesn't. Most people don't even know what a ball joint is, whereas, you can explain those sorts of things, and there's I think hundreds of other examples of where works.
We've got hundreds of videos on the site. When we design the animations, we have, a typical example would be, we have, let's say, for example, a primary school teacher in mind. So if we want to explain to a customer the need for an intake manifold clean, or why they're getting noise from their ball joint, or what a diesel particulate filter is, if we need to explain that to a primary school teacher, we need to keep the animated video really simple in a language they understand, and that will save time for everybody. And that will increase confidence in the customer, because the more they understand, the more they have confidence, the more comfortable they are with saying yes to the recommendation. And the easier it is for the workshop to communicate that. So we keep them short, maximum of 2 minutes. We keep them simple. They're not aimed at really technical people, they're aimed at the motorist, and that's why they're so effective. So integrated with workshop software. That's the really nice thing. So works really well as a standalone platform, but for workshop software users, the integration means that you can use almost all of the features of Vehicle Visuals from within workshop software, which means you don't have to come out of workshop software and log in. You can use email and SMS. The customer is the biggest feature. Most people use it. I mean, you can use the videos on your Facebook page, on your business website, but the number one use for them is to send them by SMS or email to the customer. So the customer's on the phone, you start to explain something to the customer, and then you can say, look, rather than me trying to explain this over the phone to you, I'll save us both a bit of time. I'm going to send you an animation with a voiceover that will explain the issue to you. And you can email and SMS it to them. You can do that from within workshop software.
Yeah, and it literally takes a second. I mean, inside workshop software,
it's really quick.
Find it, press a button, it's done.
It's a few seconds.
And if you don't have that, what I see is that you've got to spend a lot more time explaining that to customers. And it's one of those things that gives sort of a greater level of credibility, right? So you tell a customer something, but when you get a professionally made, very simple to understand video, it gives the workshop credibility to go, that the customer understands that, and they must know what they're doing because they've sent me this, this really cool video, right?
Yeah.
So there's, I think, two factors there, because the time that these guys spend, they sell time for money, right? That's what a workshop does. And if you can save X number of minutes by not having to explain it, plus give the customer a better experience, plus more likely get whatever quoted work that might entail, and it all for a few bucks a month.
Yeah, so it's a few bucks a month.
It's a bit of a no-brainer.
Ultimately, as we all know, it's all about increasing your sales and increasing your gross profit. Ultimately, it's also about the customer experience. It's the comment I hear a lot about Vehicle Visuals is how wowed the customer was by the fact that we'd taken the time to send them something that would explain what we wanted to communicate. It's impressive. It's good customer experience. and it makes the workshop, because it makes the workshop look modern and progressive and open, transparent and honest. So it's an all-round winner, and the reason it's been around a long time is because it is such a winner. You know, it's good products stay around a long time, and we're now on generation 4 of vehicle visuals. So we're constantly improving, constantly adding new features, constantly expanding and updating the content. So it's a terrific integration with workshop software, very popular with workshops, and we also have a promotional code for workshop software, as you know. So any workshop software users wanting to get on board with vehicle visuals, they can contact workshop software or ourselves at Service Programs Australia. There's a unique promotional code for workshop software users that gives your users a 25% saving on a regular monthly subscription, and that's not just for an introductory period or for a limited time. That's a permanent 25% saving for workshop software users subscribing using the unique code.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, fantastic. One other thing I thought from a vehicle visuals perspective, is it fair to say that I know you deal with some of the OEMs, right? They're very, very much, and I think you deal with some of the bigger chains, you know, of workshops, and you know, if from a small workshop point of view, you know, if those guys are using this, they're seeing this as being really valuable, and they're going down that path. For a small garage, you know, maybe you're a 1 or 2 man or 5 man, whatever, to be able to get the same sort of technology at a few bucks a month, literally. It's really something that I feel that, to be honest, I think that every single workshop should have this sort of capability. But you know, if you're seeing those big guys doing it, you know, you want to be competitive and you want to be making sure that you're keeping up to date with all these latest technologies. I think it's important.
I mean, look, it's as blunt as this, and I say this often. We're now in a position where what happens in the next 2 to 5 years for a workshop is absolutely critical. The next 2 to 5 years will separate out the people that are going to survive from the people that won't. Now, part of that survival will involve a change in technology at the back end in the workshop with the types of vehicle you see and the types of vehicle you're able to work on. And if you're not keeping up to date with that, that's a threat. But arguably, there's an even bigger threat and a more important threat at the front of your business, and that is something that you can control. You know, vehicle technology changing isn't something that a workshop can particularly control. What they can control is how they adapt at the front end in terms of customer experience. So it is as bleak as this. Unless you get as good as the OEMs and the big chains at looking after your customers and digitizing your processes and providing some of these modern tools that really do wow the customer. I mean, they're so impressed with some of these tools that it's one of the reasons they come back. You know, I hear lots of case histories from our customers about conquests of customers from other workshops because they've had some reason to visit their workshop, whether it be they were passing through and somebody said they noticed a leak, or whether it's a rego check, or they've come to them because their local workshop that they normally go to doesn't do air conditioning. And once they see vehicle visuals being used at that workshop, it attracts a lot of new business because it signals that they're open and honest. So it is a really important part of the business now, front of house. Customer experience is absolutely everything. And we play a role in that. You know, it's not the entire solution. There's a lot of work to be done at front of house, but in certain specific specialised areas, you know, it adds a massive amount of modernisation and improvement to the front of house in a modern workshop. And unless you adapt and change now, it's almost good night. You know?
But I think that speaks just, you know, even moving away from technology for a second, like, you know, the big chains, the dealerships, those sorts of things, they're after, you know, the small guys, you know, they're making money out of parts and service. They don't make money out of cars anymore. They want this industry, you know, they're doing everything to get the customer. Our guys, the independent small workshops, have got to, you know, step up to that sort of dealership level. 10 years ago, probably wasn't, I mean, yes, customer experience is always important, but 10 years ago, maybe not quite as important as what it is today. I believe it's not as important. It will be even more important in the next, like you say, 2 to 5 years. This becomes more and more important as time goes on.
It's so true, James, and everybody's after your customers. Let me tell you, everybody's after your customers. That's the OEs now are working hard to try and claw back some of that sweet spot service work, sort of roughly 5 to 15-year-old vehicles.
Yeah.
As you've said, there's pressure on sales, car sales, new car sales. There's pressure on margins in new car sales. So everybody will increasingly look to the service department to recoup some of that profit. The most profitable generation, the most profitable age group for servicing of a vehicle is when they get from 5 years to 15. And everybody wants a slice of that market now. So the OE wants a slice of that market. And that's traditionally the independent aftermarket workshop market,
that's
right?
their bit, isn't it? Because the first, the warranty period is usually go back to the dealer, not always, of course. And we want to encourage new cars to go to independent places as well. But the reality is that most of those go to dealerships. Maybe we just got to take that as a bit of a given. But from 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we want to then, after that period, that we want those guys to come to the aftermarket.
Sure.
And that's, we've got to attract them, don't we?
And you're absolutely right. Look, cars are incredibly reliable now.
Yeah, that's
young
true.
in their life. I mean, they are incredibly. There are very few bad cars out there anymore, and there are very few really unreliable cars out there. So 0 to 5 years old, that's the dealership's market, and they're very, very good at doing it. That's probably when they need the kind of OE support that they can offer. It's when they get to 5 years old, and 5 to 15. So 5 years old is when they're still quite new, and people still really cherish them, and they'll spend any amount of money to because it's still a novelty and a thing they want to cherish and look after. But 10 to 15. That's when you start to get this equation about, well, okay, that's an expensive repair. Does that make any sense compared to the value of the car? Now, for most repairs at 10 to 15 years old, it does. Beyond 15, you don't need a lot doing to the car before you just say, you know what, I'm walking
done.
away. But 5 to 15 is the sweet spot. That's where the profitability is, and that's where the customer will still spend some money. That's such a competitive market now. So, as you say, traditionally it was the market for the independent aftermarket. The big chains are into that, and the OEs are into it now. So you've got to be really, really good at what you do now to retain your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us the quick rundown of vehicle visuals. What's the game?
Essentially, James, vehicle visuals saves workshops an awful lot of time. Service advisors particularly can spend an awful lot of time in their day trying to explain complex repairs to non-technical customers. So anything that involves additional service and repair work, recommendations, preventative maintenance, rather than spend a very long time on the phone explaining it in a long-winded fashion, let vehicle
or in
visuals,
person for that matter,
or in person, face to face. Let vehicle visuals do the work for you. Hundreds of online animations, high quality, designed for the customer to understand. So we don't make them very technical or complicated. They're very easy for the customer to understand. Sending them quickly by email or SMS will get a quicker authorization back with an approval. Not least because they've now got the confidence to say yes. They've got a bit of information. They understand the need. They understand what happens if they delay the repair. Speeds the whole thing up and gets the sale.
I think Vehicle Visuals is a great app that's integrated with workshop software from only a few bucks a month as well. I think from a time saving and a customer experience perspective, it's awesome. I reckon every workshop should have it. It certainly helps with the time and effort that you need to put in place to ask the to communicate that to a client, but it also gives that client that peace of mind of being able to understand it. You could be the best service advisor in the world, but how you explain that in comparison to doing it, for example, as a in an animation like what you guys have got, the world's best service advisor probably can't explain it as good, And I'm not downplaying what a service advisor can do, but just putting it in that simple, clear visual. It's not only auditory as well, but it's visual, so you get words and video. I think it's a cool, very, very cool app.
Yeah, and look, occasionally workshop owners will say, well, we've got a fantastic customer base, and some customers have been coming here a long time, and they do trust us, and that's fantastic. And there are customers that are like that, and there are customers that would ordinarily say yes to a recommendation because they trust the workshop so much, and that's great, and that is genuine. But as I always say, even for those customers, it's better that they actually understand what they say yes to. Even if they were going to say yes anyway, isn't it better for your customer to understand a little bit about what they were saying yes to.
Well, I know that some of our customers, workshop software customers, actually send some of the videos to a customer after the work's done. We've done a service on your vehicle, we've done this work on your vehicle, and here's what we did. Here's why. Here's some animation about why. So it can be used for that. Again, that's kind of like almost an additional level of credibility or help or customer service, as well as for the fact about going and getting new work. Certainly works in the new work area, but to deliver this to customers in that sort of example, I think is a really switched on idea.
And that's one of the great things about the integration with workshop software. So you can email and SMS the animations to customers directly, or you can, as you say, you can attach them to invoices. Now, some people say, well, why would you send the customer an animation after you've done the job and invoiced it? Well, it's to clarify exactly what you did and why. And it's to communicate to the customer the value for money they got. So if you've replaced a timing belt and you've invoiced a replacement timing belt, just remind them. They might look at the bill for a replacement timing belt and say, blimey, wow.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you attach the animated video explaining what the timing belt is, what it does, and the damage it causes when it breaks, then that will help add value to the cost of the invoice, and it will help put their mind at rest that they were right to authorise the repair. So even post-repair, they're useful.
Yeah.
So in workshop software, you can add them to invoices, you can attach them to quotes.
Yeah.
So it helps you get the job.
Or just generally send them. Yeah.
And we have lots of customers tell us that they send out a lot of electronic estimates for big repairs. And since they've started adding vehicle visuals videos to the estimates, the conversion rate has changed dramatically. I hear stats like it's gone from 2 out of every 10 estimates that we send to customers being accepted to 8 out of 10 because they watch the video and understand why the value. So it's a really powerful part of that vehicle visuals workshop software integration for sure.
And we've been chatting about a few things, and one of those things we're going to get onto now is a little bit about a really cool thing that I certainly get very excited about, and that's vvGarage. I know you get excited about it too, mate. And,
I do.
So tell us about it. What's it's an important customer experience. Part of how we can enhance the customer experience, and that's really important, as we've already sort of talked about. What's what would you say to people out there about what's the cool thing with vvGarage?
Well, look, I get excited about things that help move workshops further on and progress. And vvGarage is an app that's individually branded for workshops that's all about communicating with customers in the modern world, really. I've got some interesting stats here which are really timely because it was a Forbes business magazine report that came out at the end of last year about what happened in the app market in 2020, and it's quite incredible reading actually. Globally in 2020, app downloads increased by 23% to 35 billion worldwide.
23% increase.
23% in
That's
2020 to 35 billion worldwide.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's happening at the moment among customers is there's a clear shift away from websites towards apps. That's where people are headed now. These are Australian numbers. The average adult unlocks their smartphone 150 times a day.
Wow.
The first thing most people see when they unlock their phone is their home screen, right? So arguably, the real estate that you need to be on these days is not the billboard above the railway tunnel. The real estate in terms of your marketing value is the real estate on the smartphone screen. So that's where you need to be getting your logo, and that's where you need to be connecting with your customers. So the Australian numbers are incredible. Australians now use an average of 10 apps per day in their daily life to do one thing or another, and spend more than 4 hours per day connected to the internet via their mobile devices. 88% of those 4 hours, 88% of that time is spent within apps. So it's incredible. So arguably, having your own branded app now for a workshop is a much better investment, in fact, than having a website, to be perfectly honest. And the good news is we've done all the work for you. We've already designed an app that's designed specifically for the automotive service and repair industry, fully integrated with the workshop software, and individually branded for each business. So if you're a workshop that uses vvGarage integrated with workshop software, The icon that your customers are clicking on that smartphone screen, that valuable marketing real estate to open the app, is your business logo.
Yeah. That's really cool, isn't it? I never sort of thought of it like that. About the the mobile phone being from a real estate perspective, and that sort of stuff. But
that's where people are spending all their time.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So in terms of the app itself, I mean, just give us a little bit of insight into how it works, and a little bit about its features, and really, I suppose, the main benefits of it.
Sure. Well, the background to us designing it was really based around the fact that two things are happening in the industry, particularly, and have been happening for quite some time. The first one is that customer loyalty is being stretched for two reasons, particularly. One is extended service intervals. So as the extended service intervals get pushed out, you're seeing them less often. So you might see a customer now once a year instead of once every 6 months, or for European vehicles now they're seeing customers every maybe 2 years. So it's very, very difficult to maintain a relationship with that customer during those really long gaps between the physical visits to your workshop. But the second thing is, market research for a few years now has been showing that people generally are getting less loyal. They're getting less loyal to brands, less loyal to businesses. And it started among the younger age groups, but every time we research this, the numbers change. It's spreading now from the younger age groups to the older age groups. People generally, society at large, is getting less loyal in terms of consumer. So, frankly, everybody has to work a lot harder to keep that customer loyalty and to keep your customers coming back. The best way of doing that is high quality touch points. In between these long intervals, when the customer can fade away, it's all about maintaining a high level of customer touch points. The key though is they have to be high quality touch points. You can't just send them fluff.
Yeah, that's right. They just get frustrated
noise,
by that sort of stuff, don't
they get frustrated and they tune out.
Yeah.
It's all about sending them high quality touch points. So we designed vvGarage to be an app that's branded for you and your business, that your customers can have on their smartphone as a free download, that will help you stay in touch with your customers and will help your customers stay in touch with your business and your brand. So they download the app free of charge from the App Store, Apple or Android. It downloads the app onto their smartphone and it puts your business logo on their smartphone screen, because that's the icon they click on to open the app. From there, they can do a number of valuable and convenient things. They can request a service booking, or in fact any type of service booking that you enter into the app, any time of day or night.
Which for workshop software customers comes from workshop software, so that the online booking sort of scenario
fully
is integrated, so you can see what the bookings are, the types of service or repairs that you're doing comes from workshop software, and so it's fully integrated.
Absolutely. So they're sitting on the sofa watching the news at 9 o'clock at night and they think, I meant to book the car in for a service today and forgot. I'll do it tomorrow. And of course they forget tomorrow and then they forget the next day. With the app, they can pull out the app, they can open your app and they can make a booking in the app at 9 o'clock at night that will then automatically be updated in the workshop software booking diary. So
and the dates and times that are available are from workshop software, so that if you're booked up for tomorrow, the next day, next week, whatever, then it shows it's unavailable in the app.
100%.
So there's that full integration.
Block out holiday days, and if you're booked because the workshop software booking diary has blocked that day out for whatever reason, they're full, or you've booked it out as a holiday, the app will show that day blocked out. So the app and workshop software are talking to each other at all times. The customer database is in there talking to each other. The vehicle database is in there talking to each other. They work hand in hand from start to finish. So they can book a service through the app. They can also do a number of other useful things. So there's a warning light library in there, because look, we want them to be using a workshops app all year round, every week, not just once a year when it's time to book a service.
Sure.
So we've put a whole heap of motoring type tools in there. Like they can enter their vehicle details into the app and it will tell them if there are any outstanding manufacturer recalls for their particular vehicle, such as Takata airbag or any OE safety recalls. There's a warning light library. They can even compare real-time local fuel prices. If they need to follow up, if they need to fill up and they're in an area, they can open the app, click on that section, and it will give them real-time live fuel prices of all the servos in the area where they're using the app. There's a whole heap of features in there that are designed to help them in their motoring life generally. And from a workshop perspective, it's a really powerful tool because it gives the customer an easier way of doing business with them, an easier way of booking a service with them. The marketing side of the app is a really, really powerful tool. One of the things that workshops find particularly useful is it becomes a communication tool between you and the customer. So there's an area in there where you can send push notifications to your customers all year round, telling them about news, promotional offers, service specials, some new equipment that you've got, anything you want to communicate to your customers.
Yeah, might be coming in as summer, for example. Hey, get an aircon regas, that sort of scenario.
Absolutely perfect. And in fact, if you subscribe to vvGarage and Vehicle Visuals, you can even integrate the Vehicle Visuals animations within the app as well. So if you want to send a push notification as a marketing message to the vvGarage app saying that you're running an aircon regas special in the spring, you can integrate a Vehicle Visuals animation explaining what the heck an aircon regas is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and this is why you need to come in and get it. So as a marketing tool for the workshop, the app's a really, really powerful thing as well. But the real power for the workshop is in having a tool that provides a quality point of contact all year round that will really help maintain that customer loyalty in these fickle times that we live in.
Yeah, it's about keeping the customers sticky, isn't it? And it's keeping the customers sticky, but it's also providing them a great experience as well. So and having them being more connected to that particular workshop and being able to and one of the things that it also does is from a workshop software perspective is when the car is in the workshop, where there is numerous notifications with the app as to what's actually going on in the actual workshop. So, for example, if we the car's booked in, it'll send them a reminder to say, hey, your car's booked in. Once it's here, it'll notify the client. Once work starts on it, once an inspection's done on it, when it's ready to be picked up, it'll send a notification to the client. So it's the idea behind that is the customer's got a bit more buy-in and a bit more. They feel a bit more connected to what's actually going on in the workshop. Because what happens otherwise, you drop the car off, see you later, and then 2 hours, 5 hours later, you come back and you've got a bill and you pick your car up, right?
That's it.
We see what happens when we order a pizza and every single step of the way, right? And some of them, even follow the bloody motorcycle driver, with the pizza on the back of it. It's a similar sort of concept, isn't it?
It is, and look, you're absolutely right, and that's why we say, people are not just judging the workshop's customer service on other workshops. They're judging their customer experience that the workshop provides based on the customer experience they get everywhere else. So if when they order a $20 pizza, the pizza restaurant is able to update them with the status of that pizza, whether it's in the oven, whether it's being boxed up, whether it's on the moped on the way to your house. If your local pizza restaurant where you order a $20 pizza can provide that, why don't I get that from the place where I take my $50,000 car?
Right. Yeah, right? Exactly.
It makes us look very old school.
That's right.
So it's really about bringing a workshop's customer experience up to the experience that these consumers are enjoying now in everything else they do in their life.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest complaints that people have about workshops is that they drop the car off first thing in the morning and they don't hear anything for the rest of the day. They don't know if it's going to be ready on time. They don't know whether they've actually done anything. They don't know whether they parked it around the back and then forgot it was there.
That's right.
With the app, the workshop, through workshop software, can send status updates during the day to the app, telling the customer that it's in safe hands, this is where we're at with it, and that gives the customer, you're right, it gives the customer the peace of mind knowing that it's being worked on, they're in the loop, and there's just a bit of information being provided. Customers get frustrated if they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Just a couple of notifications during the day telling them about the update is all you need.
That's right.
And doing it through the app is modern, efficient, and time-saving for everybody.
Yeah. And from a workshop software perspective, that just happens automatically, or can happen automatically depending on your settings. But which I think, so it's no extra work from the workshop's point of view. It just happens.
Seamless part of the process.
Yeah. And I think the other cool thing is one of the things is it's all well and good to have the app, but you want users to use it, right? So how do you get them to use it? And one of the things from a workshop software perspective is we've got a simple process where we either email or SMS typically best to SMS it, but we SMS the clients, a link to actually get the app. Easy to get a username and password that comes directly into workshop software. It's really easy for them to get the app and get it all, from get their customers to have that app and start using it. So that's a simple process.
Yeah, so the process is as soon as they subscribe to vvGarage, we begin work on designing and building their app, because each app is individually built and branded for the customer. And integrating with workshop software. So our people work with your people to do the integration on the database and the functionality. The tools in there, and that's why they work so well with each other. They are designed from scratch to work with each other. And communication, the marketing side of it, it's all very, very quick and simple to use. So it isn't something that's thrown together. Workshop software users will find it as seamless an integration as anything else they do within workshop software.
Yeah, and from a workshop software user perspective too, that's if you start with the app, you can get it out to all your existing clients, and that's a really simple process. But it's actually very simple when a new customer comes in as well. It's a very simple process to just say, add this guy to vvGarage, and they've got the app automatically. It sends them the SMS so that they can use it. So it's a very, very streamlined process.
Yeah. So
which I think is really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when the app is ready, from within workshop software, you can send out invites to all of your customers. The invite will contain that customer's unique username and password and a link to its location in the App Store, because each app is branded for each business, so it has a unique location in the App Store. The invite will give them that link, and it will detect the type of device your customer is using as well. So you click on the link, it will say, right, this guy's using an Android, this lady's using an Apple, and it will an iPhone, and it will send them to the relevant stores. So download of the app is really, really simple. All you've got to do then is market it to your customers on an ongoing basis. So regular Facebook posts, update your website to tell them that you've got an app, so that there can be some transition between your website and your app. Because if you're a business that's 20 years old, never had an app before, you have to do a little bit of promotional work to tell your customers you've got an app, right? Yeah. So a bit of work to be done, but they very, very soon get into the habit of using it. And the more features we put in, we're adding new features all the time, the more often they use it still. So, very, very simple to get set up, very, very simple to get out there.
Absolutely, and that's really good info. I think one of the things that I can imagine people in workshop land out there are thinking at the moment, talking about an app, question without notice. They're sitting there going, I've got to get an app. It's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to get this set up. All of that sort of stuff. All this hullabaloo to get it all going. What's the go? What are they up for up front to get this up and running?
No setup costs. Yeah. So the cost to build and design the app, we pick up the tab for. So it is a $59 per month subscription plus GST. You can pay it through your Capricorn Trade account if you're a Capricorn member. So it's a very simple monthly subscription. What could be simpler? It's $59 a month, and it'll improve your booking convenience for your customers. It becomes a really powerful marketing tool for a workshop, and it keeps your logo in front of your customer a number of times a day on that real estate smartphone screen. That really important smartphone screen real estate. So for $59 a month, it's a bit of a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. I think, honestly, to get something like that with no setup fees like that is, I think to be fair, mate, you're probably doing yourself a bit of a disservice, because it's certainly worth a lot more than that. But, and I suppose is one of the reasons why we sort of very much see, this is a real, great app in its own right, and certainly integrated with workshop software is amazing value for money. And I think it really does set the workshop apart from other workshops, and I think that's an important part as well, that you're competing with the guy down the road next door, the other mum and dad sort of workshops, if that's what you are. You're also competing with the dealers, you're competing with the big chains. This puts you up on the level to be able to provide that sort of customer service, and that sort of simplicity and the setup costs and that sort of stuff, which are non-existent, from a workshop software perspective too, that it's non-existent too. So we don't charge anything to set this up. There's no extra costs from a workshop software perspective. So it's so simple, and it does put them on the level playing field, or does set them in with some of their competition, right?
We just want to make it is as easy as possible for people to get on board. We looked at a setup cost, because there is a cost involved with us designing and building it. I mean, when I say design it, I mean it's the app is already there, but we then customize it for each individual business, right? So there is clearly some cost involved for all of us in that, but we just decided to waive a sign-up fee and just get people on board and get them using it. Because look, without sounding too twee about this, and I know you're exactly the same, we're both in the business of doing things that will help the industry grow and move forward.
That's it, yeah.
It's a really, really important part of what motivates us to do what we do in a typical day. We just wanted people we just wanted to make it easy as possible for workshops to get on board, start using it, and start getting busy.
All really cool things about vvGarage. Richard, is there anything else that's important in vvGarage?
Couple of really neat features I think that workshops are going to like and customers absolutely love. The first one is an Ask My Mechanic chat feature, where customers can chat to the workshop two-way through the app. That's really popular and works really well for workshops as well. If they need to get some particular information from the customer, you can even record a sound through Ask My Mechanic. So if you need to get a photograph if a customer rings and books a car in and says, I've got a leak, you can say, well, can you see where the leak's coming from? Yes, I can. Great. Do you have our app on your phone? Yeah, I do. Great. Take a quick photo for me. Send it to me through Ask My Mechanic. You've got the photo. You can even record a funny noise, which unfortunately is going to remove the joy for workshop owners of customers standing in the waiting area making funny noises to try and replicate the noise on their vehicle. But that's a really cool feature, Ask My Mechanic. The other one that's really, really popular is the feedback feature, and it is one of the reasons we put that in.
This is becoming more and more important in this day and age.
A lot of workshops actually requested it as well as a feature, which is terrific. So it's very, very difficult for a workshop often to get an immediate response from a customer about how they did on the day of the service. How did we do? How did we score? So we took the idea from the Uber setup, which is you jump out of an Uber cab, and as soon as you get out, you're invited to rate the service out of 5 stars. And if you want to, you can add a couple of comments. So that's what we built into the app. So another important part of the workshop software integration is that when a workshop finalises the invoice in workshop software, the customer is automatically sent an invitation to rate the service and customer experience out of 5 stars and add any notes. Now, I'm happy to say that most scores received by workshops are 4 and 5 stars, genuinely, and that's good. So you might say, well, our customers go away happy anyway. However, customers going away happy really appreciate the opportunity to tell you they're happy and say thank you. So that's the first thing. The other thing about it is, on the odd occasion, and when you do get a 1 or 2 star rating, it's generally because the customer's misunderstood something that wasn't clearly communicated. Now, that could be dangerous if they go away, because the other thing about market research is that customers don't like face-to-face confrontation anymore. If they're not happy, generally because they've misunderstood something, they're much more likely to not say anything to you, go away and never come back. And probably
maybe say it to someone else.
50 other people how unhappy they were. So it's good if we know about that as quickly as possible.
You can act upon it.
You can act upon it, you can put the fire out. So if you do get a 1 or 2 star customer feedback, you can contact the customer directly and you can say to them, disappointing to see that, well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to give us some feedback. Much appreciated. Disappointed to see that it wasn't our normal 4 or 5 star rating. I'm calling to see what we did wrong, see if we can put it right for you. Now, first of all, that's really powerful customer experience. That's powerful customer service, because you care. You care and you're contacting the customer. Generally speaking, it's a misunderstanding. You can put them straight on it. It puts the fire out and they're back. But again, if you don't know, you can't fix it. It's a great tool for inviting people. They don't like face-to-face confrontation, but they'll easily drop you a score through the app. And the invitation is sent out the day following the service. So they've had a bit of time to drive the car. and they've had a bit of time to reflect on the service experience. So you're getting genuine scores too.
Yeah.
So really powerful features too.
Yeah, I think that is a good feature. You know, that feedback sort of loop is certainly something that I think is becoming more and more important, more and more normal, like you say about the Uber example, but it's becoming more and more normal in the customer experience generally.
Yeah.
Like we've discussed today, you know, about some of those other customer experiences that the customer is used to.
Yeah.
This becomes normal, and yeah, it definitely gives you the opportunity. I think from two perspectives. One, if you get a great feedback, it's always good to go maybe to a mechanic. Hey, Fred, you did a great job. Mary loved what you did. She really loved the fact that you did X, right?
Yeah.
That's really great, and I think that's empowering for the workshop.
Yeah.
Conversely, like you say, you got the opportunity to potentially save a customer. Even if you don't save the customer, you got a learning.
Sure.
Right? Hopefully they've given you back some more feedback. No, you suck, I'm never coming back again, but this is why. And, you know, and look, if you did take responsibility or there was something not quite right in your work, you know, maybe you could take that on as a learning and go, okay, next time we're not going to let that happen.
100%. Sometimes, occasionally in business, we do make a genuine mistake.
Mate,
and
we
again,
do.
we can't correct it
We
if
all
we
do
don't
it.
know about it. So tell us about it and we'll fix it for you.
Yeah.
The other thing about the feedback is that it's between you and the customer in that instance.
Yeah.
So you will get notification through the vvGarage dashboard that you've received a feedback score. You can see who sent it and you can see the notes. But that's between you and the customer. Other customers can't go into the app and
Sure.
see what other people think of it. So it's purely between you
Good
and that
point.
customer.
Yeah. Thanks again, Richard. I think just to summarise a little bit about, you know, what we've seen today is I think a great opportunity for workshop software customers to get greater value out of workshop software, greater value out of their business, more profit, more streamlined and better customer service. And I think that we've seen some of those things today, which is absolutely awesome. If you want some more info, there's info on workshopsoftware.com under integrations. Call the sales team. The team are here to help. More than happy for you to ask them questions. They're happy to run through a demonstration if that's what you wanted to have a look at. But I'd certainly get on board, at least do some investigation into the vvGarage and Vehicle Visuals app. I think they're really great integrations with workshop software, and we're here to build the business of your dreams. So I thank you for your time and appreciate you watching. Thanks.